Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. It's going to be quite a quick video today. I've got a working day today. These plants don't water themselves. Pity, but they don't. Thanks for all the comments on yesterday's marathon effort. Especially the comments that said I ought to get in my videos a bit more often. And I probably agree. There is quite a bit more fuss into actually being in my videos. I'm what you would probably call a scruffy individual, on the grounds that I'm around my house most of the time on my own. So why do I need to sort of, you know, prance myself up and put my best clothes on when I'm just around the house? So obviously if I just pick the camera up and point it at the plants, you don't need to know what I look like, if you see what I mean. But I wouldn't want to be in front of the camera in that state with a scruffy old shirt with a hole in and unshaven and all that sort of stuff. So it requires a bit of preparation on my part. And in addition to that, with a fixed camera, I've got to get the plants to the camera, which means I've got to be able to get at them, if you see what I mean. So a spur of the moment, you know, let's just have a look at this plant is not so easy to do when the camera's in a fixed place. Plus, where the camera sits, which is in the doorway, I'm trapped out here till I've finished. Yeah, it does cause a few problems, whereas, you know, my normal style is to just pick the camera up, have a few ideas of like what I might want to point it at, and just get on and point it and waffle away in the background. It's fast and it's easy. And most of the time that's probably still the way it's going to be. But if I can get themes together that warrant actually hand holding the plants and showing them with me there, then I don't mind doing it. But it's not going to be frequent, let's put it that way. I mean, I do daily videos in the main. That may drop off a little bit as the season progresses, on the grounds that I will have days out. Yeah? And, you know, looking at our native orchids and stuff like that, my field trips as I call them. Now obviously I'll be filming those during the day. I won't be here, and then I'll have to put them together when I get back. So there may be odd days when I don't post a video, but I try and post something every day. That again is the way I run my channel. They don't all have to be big and elaborate, but I thought I'd show that. Simply because where else in the world would you actually see a Paphiopedilum hybrid and a Dracula Bella in the same shot with a Latoria Dendrobium sat behind them? And that's just, well, and a twinkle underneath them. You know, it's the beauty of having a varied collection, is that you can get different types of blooms near each other. So I suspect that shot is unique in the world. I doubt if that's ever happened before. And I'm sure that Dracula Bella sat in the sun there is not doing it any good at all. But for the short time and the weak sun, it's not going to wilt it or anything. I mean, it happened to it a couple of days ago as well. But it's lasting incredibly well. I'm very impressed with that. I love that wobbly lip. It almost looks like it's about to fall off, but that's how it is. And we do have another spike starting up there, silhouetted, but I think that's the only one. There may be more, but it's certainly grown quite a few roots since it got potted up like that. They're all hanging out the side and things like that. I'm not sure that's the best place for them, but seems to be growing okay. That's the main thing. You know, if it's not broke, don't fix it. There's something else I need to show you, but I'll have to put the camera down for a minute. I'll be back. Well, that's the first one of these to bloom. This is, I'll say is, until proven otherwise, Dendrobium Cuthbert sonyi. And I've got a feeling that these have been reclassified and they're not even dendrobiums anymore. But I'm running with this name at the moment until I can get near somebody from the RHS or something and who actually knows, who's come across what's happened. But I've got a feeling these have been reclassified. And there's something else now, something like Drocilla or something. Anyway, at the moment it's a Dendrobium and it's Cuthbert sonyi. Real miniature. Let's get a hand in there. Yeah, real miniature. And bloom size to plant sort of ratio is pretty good. You know, for the size of these tiny little plants, that's quite a large bloom. It's a very unusual colour. I'm not sure what the camera's going to do with that, but I would say the closest colour I could say is bronze, because it's not really orange and it isn't really brown and it's sparkling its head off in the little bit of sunshine there. Anyway, these, I'm told, actually last quite a long time. Now, I got 2 of these a while back, and the other one is a very sorry looking mess at the moment. It's only got a couple of leaves left. It's not a happy bunny at all. This one has grown several new growths since it got potted up like this. It basically had, this one had hardly any roots, quite honestly, and I thought this one was going to die, and yet this is the one that grew. But what it is a layer of small bark and chopped up normal sphagnum moss, you know, the sort of dead stuff that you buy, to make a layer for the roots to sit on, and then live moss was placed on top. But it could do with being a finer moss. This is quite a heavy grade moss, I suppose you could call it. It might do better with a finer moss system, but I'm not sure these are going to stay in here long term. It's a good idea and it sort of works okay, but the other one didn't grow and the other one had a reasonable root system, and it's I wouldn't say it's happy at all. But this one has grown some new growths. Yeah, we've got one here. There's another one over there just starting, and it has bloomed. So not too bad, but that's a very young plant. You know, I mean, although the leaves and the individual parts of the plant aren't very big, they can grow quite large as a plant, you know, into like a dome shape. So anyway, just thought I'd show you that. That's the first time, well, it's the first of those blooms I've ever had, so it's a first time bloomer for me, and it's the first time bloom of that type of dendrobium, so yeah, that's a nice little first. Somebody asked, are my nobiles blooming? Well, 2 of them are that shouldn't be and won't be for much longer, because I'm going to take the blooms off, which will annoy some people. But this is Spring Dream and Pollen here. This is a piece of the very large plant that I gave away. I wanted to keep a piece of my original plant and start again and grow a new plant. So that's what that one's up to. It's blooming on an old cane. It's got 2 old canes, and that's enough to support that little cluster of blooms without harming the plant. So they can stay. But this one up here shouldn't be blooming. This was last year's cane, and it's a nice cane. It grew well. That's an older cane, but this was a kiki basically, and the longer those blooms stay there, the less likely it is to start growing from the base. And not all plants work like that, but some do. And because I've only ever had large nobiles, I don't know which category these come into. But there are certainly types of orchids around that will not start new growths while they've got blooms on. They seem to have a reaction that once the blooms are gone, they think about putting up some more new growths. Some more new growths. More coffee. But, you know, this one's also growing a kiki off an old cane. So these blooms on here are not going to be doing this plant any good at all. I need to get this plant growing from the base, and I will probably take those blooms off and these buds here and try and get it to restart growth from the base. You know, I mean, a plant that size could do with at least 2 new canes to grow on through the season, and they're not going to start while it's in bloom. So, and just behind that is something unexpected, I'll say. Now, this is a very rare plant and cannot be replaced, and was virtually lost. You can see it's a sorry effort here. I got a bacterial rot in it and virtually lost the whole plant. I managed to save 1 back bulb, with the tiniest of new growths, which hasn't been growing very quickly, but it's decided to start a second one. So it's now got 2 chances. And if that can start producing some roots from those new growths, the plant is safe. But they're very, very slow growing at the moment, very slow. And that is, or was, Odontoglossum crispum. And it will be almost impossible to replace if I lose that. They're just not around anymore. Not called that anymore. They're Oncidium alexandriae, I think, but not in here. They're not. In here, it's Odontoglossum crispum, and it's that with 2 growths now. I only just spotted that a few days ago. Hopefully, they will now grow on. It's up here. This is a cool grower. At this time of year, most of the places in here are cool. So I don't have to worry about its placement at the moment, not yet, until it starts getting warmer. Why it's up here is so that it sits under that light and gets all the help it can get. So it's got the extended day lengths, shaded from direct sun, yeah? And hopefully those 2 growths will pull on with that little bit of extra help. But I have got to go so careful with watering that. If that gets wet round the base for any length of time, those 2 new growths will probably fail. So I'm taking ultra care with that one to try and rescue it. And that's about all for today. As I said, it's I've got a working day today. I need to water all the cool and shady stuff and all the holy clay pots. As I go around the holy clay pots, if I spot anything, because it is, you know, coming into Cattleya time, there might be some new buds showing through the sheaths or something like that, so I'll pick up the camera and do that separately. But apart from that, I'm glad you enjoyed yesterday's video. As I say, it's a bit more of a faff for me to do that sort of thing, but there's no reason why I can't do that every now and again. But this will be the more normal style for my videos, shall we say. And thanks for dropping by, and I'll see you next time.